Good morning and welcome to the Career Mastered Inside Career Success Show. I'm Dr. Lisa Wicker and I welcome you today. Happy Women's History Month. I am so excited that you have joined us today, ecstatic about today's show. The episode is amazing. I can't tell you all about it until we start, but just at this moment, this show is about high-profile women who are mastering their careers, women who lift each other up, women who celebrate one another, women who support one another, and women who give back to the marketplace and bring others along. They are in the marketplace, compelling themselves to do the business of business. And so I'm thrilled that you have taken the time to join us today. Time is an invaluable commodity, and I don't take it for granted. So I thank you for being present here today with me and my guests. I want to also say that while we speak with high-profile women, men, you are in the equation as well. We believe in speaking with men allies, and this show will also feature those men. Today, however, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Career Mastered Magazine. Career Mastered Magazine is a quarterly publication that has been in the marketplace since 2018. We launched the magazine with parties in New York, Charlotte, and Detroit. And we're pleased to tell you that the brand has gone global. And it's about the advancement of women in the marketplace who compel themselves to do business, but also do not waver when it comes to bringing others along. We pave the way for the next generation of girls. And so again, thank you for joining us. It's a beautiful day here where I am in the Carolinas. And I can't wait to just bring our guest on and tell you more about her. In fact, I won't wait any longer. I'm going to bring her on. Her name is Judy Hoberman. Hi, Judy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to tell our audience a little bit more about you, and all that you have done is so much that I can't wait to introduce. So first of all, Judy Hoberman is the CEO and president and founder of Judy Hoberman and Associates, a company focused on empowering professional women. She is an award-winning international speaker, best-selling author, trainer, and leading authority on women in leadership and sales. She is a certified high performance coach where changing your habits can change your life. Her focus is on executive coaching and mastermind for women. The direction is where her true passion is, and it gives her time and attention to work with these women, which has always been a part of her mission and vision. And I know that the women that are joining us today can't wait to talk with you. But Judy has 30 years in business, along with her experience in sales and leadership. She was a TEDx speaker and the author of 4 books, including Selling in a Skirt. She was named as a woman to watch for International Women's Day from their Thrive Global, and was also awarded the Character and Integrity Award for her distinct and significant contributions to sales. I could go on, but I'm going to let Judy tell you more about who she is, and let's welcome her to the stage. Hey, Judy.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I've been waiting for today to get here. It seems like forever.
I know. Well, when you're excited about, having a conversation about the things that we do, which both you and I are passionate about women's leadership and advancing women, I think it's really apropos that this conversation is going to be probably swift and fast, and it's going to go too fast, but certainly we have a lot to talk about. First, I would like to congratulate you on being one of the Career Mastered honorees this year. Thank you so much for all that you do. And I'm ecstatic about the fact that I got to meet you just simply from that nomination that came across. And once we reviewed your credentials and looked at all the things you've done, absolutely credible for a recognition award in the arena here in terms of women's leadership.
Well, thank you so much. That was so special when I saw it, and I'm very grateful and very humbled by it. So thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get right into the conversation. I always start out by asking my guests about mastering their careers, because I know that when the concept arrived for me in 2014, it really was a thought process that I really, after so many years in the marketplace, had done a pretty decent job, if you will, not only mastering my career, but my life, because a career is part of your life. And it's not that it's concluded, because mastering is an evolution that, to me, continues over time as you grow and learn. But my first question for you is that because it often requires pivots and detours, when did you actually get a glimpse of your future career, which is the one that you experienced at this very moment? How did you know where you'd be, and what were your dreams as a girl?
So when I think about the career I have today, coaching, mentoring, speaking, empowering women, the same things that you're doing, it wasn't always the dream that I imagined when I was younger. But looking back, I can see how every single challenge, every single lesson, everything that I did as a young girl prepared me for this exact moment. I originally wanted to be a doctor, but I was told that girls don't do that. Girls are secretaries, girls are nurses, girls are teachers. And it was something that just didn't feel right to me. And my whole life, I was always told girls don't do this. And what do? Girls do this. So I think that the glimpse was happening all along, but it didn't really take place until I decided that I was going to do something that I wanted to do. And long story short, it happened through my career in insurance and financial services. And when I left that after many, many years, decades, I decided that I really, really, really wanted to do what I love the most, and that was to empower professional women. So
Absolutely.
so the glimpse went, kind of sideways, cockeyed, I guess.
That's okay. I mean, it's all about focus, staying focused on there of where you're trying to get to, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
you have an impressive career as an entrepreneur, and we do have entrepreneurs within our network, and certainly we are both one of those, right? And so, as a high performance coach and transformational leader, please share with us more about your backstory.
Okay, so if you continue with what I was saying about being in financial services, I never, ever, ever at all had a coach. And forget about a female coach because I was the only female. My job was to make sure that everybody had the tools that they need. And when I was an agency manager, I did a lot of coaching and I did a lot of mentoring. When I went to the corporate side, we had 4,000 producers and we had 254 offices. Well, that's a lot of people that you're in charge of that you really need to make sure that they do have the tools. So again, lots of coaching, lots of mentoring, lots of training. And when I left there, I wasn't even sure what I was going to do, honestly, Lisa. I hired a coach who was like a kick in your butt coach, somebody that wouldn't take any nonsense from me saying, oh, I've already done that. It was not like that. She was like, yeah, let's get this thing going here. So she helped me actually build Selling in a Skirt.
Mm,
And what I decided with her that was what I was missing. And what I was truly missing was a woman who would have been able to show me the ropes. I was a single mom going into a profession of, straight commission. There was no one there. So I decided what I needed was that woman. So I became that woman. And
yes.
that's what I do. And it's the woman that I wish I would have had.
Yes, many of us. Absolutely, definitely. Now that you are coaching and you see women all over the world and you've helped many get to their dreams, you subscribe to what's called the GRACE framework,
Mhm.
as I've read. And what is the framework, and how can women use it to sustain success?
So I guess my first question is, don't you love the name?
Yes,
Because especially when we all say, give yourself some grace.
yes,
So
yes.
so in my world, everything is an acronym. And where I've seen women struggle with burnout and imposter syndrome and pressure, they have to do everything.
Yeah.
I created the GRACE framework, which is growth, resilience, alignment, community, and empowerment. And that's the foundation. And the growth part is really where it starts with you have to be willing to learn, to unlearn and to grow. And that's why I said the coach that I used was the kick in your butt one, because she made sure I was going to do that. The resilience is the ability to actually adapt and to thrive and go through your challenges, because that's a game changer. Alignment, the A, is where true fulfillment comes in, when your work aligns with your values, because if you are out of alignment, it's not going to work. And community is something that I talk about, having a community revolution. Success isn't built alone. Your network is your lifeline. And then, of course, empowerment. And this is what, confidence isn't about waiting for permission to do something. It's about owning your space, and then stepping into your power, and then taking the next generation of leaders with you. So that's Grace.
I love it. So with the Grace framework, do you personally have like a class for that, or how does it all work that people can use that for themselves?
Well, I base my coaching and my masterminds around Grace, but I also do training about Grace. Yeah, because to me, I believe that if you have, most people like some kind of structure. So if you have a structure or a process that you can use and you can fall back on, each one of those steps works together with the next, or works entirely by itself. So yeah, I do training on that as well.
So let's take grace. And I like that, because I always believe, that grace is important. We ask for grace all the time, and even in our personal lives. So let's say that you're running your own business, which you are. Tell us like how grace has helped you through some of your triumphs and successes. Like, tell us the challenges of those successes and how you may have used that framework yourself in being as successful as you are.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the biggest elephant in the room, the pandemic.
Yes.
Okay. So if you think about the pandemic, how many of us lost anything? I mean, me personally, I lost 2/3 of my company in an instant. Nothing that I did, it was done.
Yes.
And I remember distinctly saying to myself, you have to give yourself permission to grieve. And so I did.
Wow.
I gave myself permission, and I went into my bed, pulled the covers over my head, and started to cry.
Yes.
For 20 minutes. Because then I got up and said, okay, well, now what am I going to do? Well, there's the resilience. So I took that challenge of all of my live coaching, all of my live speaking, all of my live training, everything that was live that was taken away. I pivoted, I shifted, whatever I needed to do. And I created things that weren't even on my radar. Some of the things that I do today was because of that. And so the resilience is there. What I also made sure to do is community. Women are starving for community.
Yes.
Especially the pandemic, but definitely now. Yes. And so I create communities where you aren't by yourself, where your network is there, where you do have other women and men. And I don't leave men out either, but you do have people that are sponsors, are advocates, are champions for you. And they're helping lift you, because when you're being lifted up, you're being empowered. And then you will do the same for someone else. And somebody that doesn't empower other people, they're not my people. They're just not my people. And so there's how grace works.
Well, it's interesting because you've kind of gone on to my next thought. This year's theme for Career Mastered is making connections. It starts with her. And I believe that in this time, especially since January and all the changes that are going on in the marketplace, because like you in the pandemic, like my company has been affected with the impact of these changes already, as a small business woman, quite negatively. But, as we're resilient, we move forward, we make lemonade out of lemons. You keep it moving regardless of that. But it's really centered in connections and community. So let's talk about that for a moment. Why you might think, as you've already discussed just for a moment here with community, that connections are important, because you just mentioned that if they're not empowering, they're not part of your community, right? And the same thing about the challenges of connections. They're good and maybe not so good. Let's talk about why making connections are important, and knowing the difference between intentional connections and just connecting to connect. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, I think that connection is the currency for success. Okay.
Yes.
If you don't have the connections, you're all by yourself. And we often think that being successful is doing something alone.
Yes.
solo, but it's not, because every major breakthrough in my career has been a direct result of intentional, conscious connections. So whether it's through mentorship or whether it's through masterminds or whether it's through high performance coaching, the right relationships accelerate my growth. So one example, and we talked about this company offline before, I was definitely trying to get into a certain company many years ago. And
Yes.
every time I got close, the person I needed to talk to was promoted or left.
Yes.
And so I thought, well, this is never going to happen. I don't even know why I'm trying. And then I happened to be at a conference. The gentleman sitting next to me and I were talking. He asked what I did. He asked for my card. He called me. I didn't know he worked for that company. And he said, you need to come because we're having an event and I want you to sit through it and see it. I went to the event. The person that I absolutely positively needed,
Yes.
he introduced me to, and I worked with that company for 8 years. So that was intentional. It was conscious.
Yes.
But the other part of this is I always tell people you have to create relationships before you need them. Because when you need them,
Say that again.
yeah, you have to create them before you need them. If you wait until you're out of a job, or if you wait until you're looking to do something, or you want to take that next leap,
Yes.
you don't have any connections around you, where are you going to go?
Absolutely.
I know personally, like if I said to you today, Lisa, I am so tired, I just don't want to do this anymore. I have a big enough community around me of connections that would say, have you called this person? Have you thought about this? Let's talk about that. And so for that, it would be a lot easier for me to find my next path of, or my next journey or my next chapter. So I am a firm believer in making connections. And that doesn't mean you have to love everybody and you have to be connected and you have to meet everybody. Sometimes just a simple hello will get you to that next step. And I'm a firm believer.
Yes. Our last speaker last week, Talia Fox, who is the author of Conscious Connection, suggested that, like you, there's a framework for her, how and why she wrote the book, Conscious Connections, the 4 habits of, I think, the power of the conscious connection, really love, which had to do with listen, observe, value, and engage, I believe. I hope I got that right, Talia. And so I think as we talk through being intentional, her thought was, when you're making a connection, you have to listen and not be so into yourself, so that you can be open to what the other person has value to bring and allow you to engage. And I believe that is important, as well as what you're saying about you need to know ahead of time, not not after the fact of what you need, right? In other words, don't wait until you need somebody to connect. You should be making those connections beforehand, so that it's a natural flow of a relationship, because relationships are reciprocity. Am I right? Tell me more.
Absolutely. That's 100% correct. And what I will add to that is also don't keep score.
Yes.
Because that's a big deal. I mean, a lot of times you give, and somebody doesn't give back, and that's okay. Maybe they don't have anybody to give. You can stop giving if you want, but you have to also remember that just because I gave you 3 people doesn't mean you need to give me 3 people.
Right.
So don't keep score and just really do it because you're being authentically you. And that's my great, I always say that if I could just make a living, just giving connections, I would be so happy.
Yes.
But my mortgage company says, yeah, I don't think so.
I know. Well, you know what? I think that you've offered some gems here about don't keep score, because what I learned over time is the people that I have helped are not the same people that helped me.
Correct.
Right. It just doesn't equate that way. And sometimes we look at like, well, I helped her. Like, why doesn't she help back? Right. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, I think if we learn more about I think it is kind of the skill of connection, it would be a lot better for a lot of us, because it really is, as you said, about community.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about a statement that I read, and I want to make sure I got this right, that you've asked the question to your clients, what would you do to reach your greatness? And I'd like you to tell us more about your answer to that, if I were to ask you that, and why is it important? Question.
I think everyone has the ability to have an environment of greatness around them. And sometimes, you're not in the right position, or the company has negative culture or whatever it is, but your job is to create that for yourself and others to feel it. And if you can't change culture, you can change climate, which is what's
Yeah.
right around you. But if I said to you, like, here's how you should reach greatness, here's how I would do it. Number one, you have to get very clear on what you want and set that bold vision for your future, like create it. Then invest in mentorship or coaching, because you can't do everything by yourself. I know we all think that we know everything, but we don't. And sometimes you need that outside person, the external person, to say to you, have you thought of this? Let me help you there. And I know as women, we don't like to ask for help, but you really should be able to invest in yourself. The third is what we talked about, is to develop resilience, because those failures, those setbacks are part of the process. And remember, failure is an event, not a person.
Mm-hmm.
So take that and learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, stay authentic. Success isn't about fitting in. It's about standing out. The S for selling in a skirt is about standing out. That's what it is. What makes you unique, but authentically unique. When you show up, do people have to say, oh, I wonder who's showing up? Because yesterday she was this and the day before she was that. So you want to make sure that who you are shows up. Now, I am a huge introvert. So when I go to an event, I have to first, before I walk through the door, to be me, I have to first get out of my own head by saying, well, I shouldn't be there. I don't know anybody, because I know I belong there and I know I have a message. So I take a really big deep breath and then I walk in and I'm me. I am me. I also do need time to decompress when I'm done, because, as an introvert, that stimulation is overstimulating sometimes. But when I show up, people know who I am. They really do know who I am, because that's me.
Well, showing up has to do with who we have come to be from our environment. Take us back to your hometown. Tell us a little bit about Judy, right? And what was it like, and how did you come to be the person you are, which shows a rich foundation?
Okay, I'm not quite sure you really want the answer to that. This is the answer you want to hear, because not all successful people have parents that navigated them or provided them the foundation and their resourcefulness. Sometimes you have to follow your own dreams and your intuition.
Yes.
And quite honestly, like I said before, I grew up with the saying always above my head, girls don't do this.
Right.
Okay? Now, the part that is very telling about me, and this is what my TED Talk was about. I had never shared this in person out loud to anyone except my brain. Yeah. And I decided to share it on a TED Talk. Okay. Wow. But here's the deal about you talking about where I came from. When I was graduating high school, there was this beautiful envelope sitting at the breakfast table that was from my dad. And when I opened it up, it said, congratulations, you've just been entered into the Miss Queens, where I grew up, beauty pageant. And I thought it was cute. I never thought I was beautiful. I looked like Gidget, if you remember Gidget. That's what I looked like. So I was never beautiful. But regardless of that, I never wanted to go into a beauty pageant. I wanted to go to medical school. And my father was like, ugh. And my mom was like, oh, girls are teachers, and I love them dearly, but, whatever. But this conversation with my father went back and forth. I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to unenroll myself. He said, you have to stay enrolled. You have to. And I'm like, I'm not. Yes, you are. But finally, he just said to me, listen to me. You have to enroll. You have to win, because all you are is pretty and you'll never amount to anything else.
Gosh. No.
Okay. Now, when I said that during the TED Talk, you could hear everybody gasp out loud.
I'm looking at you like,
right? Because if your dad tells you you're beautiful, you should be happy. But the rest of the sentence was the hard part. And so every time I'd get on stage, I would hear his voice going, you're never going to amount to anything. You're never going to amount to anything. So when you ask me about growing up, I had to, imagine being a woman in business where you don't have what do you have? So, I had to do a lot of work.
Wow. Tell me more about the TED Talk, the adversity that you shared, and how did it end with, the success? I mean, I'm interested.
So the TED Talk, when you do a TED Talk, there's a theme, and our theme was outside the lines. So mine was outside the lines. Mine was talking about being prejudged. Everywhere in my life, people would prejudge me. Always, always. They would say, why do you need this? Look at you. Take a look. You're all put together. Why did you enroll in this this class because look at you, you're all put together. Oh, you must be the captain of the cheerleaders, like all of this kind of stuff. And none of it was true. And
Yes.
so I had to like grow out of that. The TED Talk talked about how you automatically, without even thinking about it, in a fraction of a second, prejudge someone. And
Yeah.
so, in order to tell the story, I couldn't say it was me. I had to say it was someone else. At the end, I did actually say it was me. But I talk about the things that when you're prejudged, like what are you doing to yourself? What are people thinking about you? What are the stories that people create? And then continue them. Because one of my friends from high school, and I graduated a million years ago, he said to me not too long ago, how's my favorite cheerleader? And I said,
Oh my God.
I said, I didn't make the cheerleading squad. He goes, I know you were the captain and you just didn't want anybody to really know that. I'm like, no, I didn't make cheerleading. And so he had this story in his head
Yes.
about me being a cheerleader.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness.
Right.
That's too much.
So that's what I'm saying. So prejudgment is a very difficult thing for people to understand. Don't prejudge somebody. And we do it all the time. Somebody walks in the room and you're going to do business and they're wearing a fancy suit and you go, oh, he's going to buy this because he's got a, expensive suit on. Or somebody comes in jeans and a t-shirt and like, they're never going to buy anything. They don't have money. Or somebody's too tall or too short or too fat or too thin, whatever it is. So my message is always like, go back and undo what you just did. Take your thoughts and go to someone and say, I apologize. I really thought this about you, but it's not true.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my TED Talk.
That's good stuff because, when you talk about making connections, I mean, I'm sure in a room full of people, if we're at a networking event, you've prejudged already before you even said hello to that person. But that may be that very person that you need, right?
Yeah.
Or the person that need you.
Yes.
You have to be open up is what you're saying.
Absolutely. And give somebody a chance if they're not your people. And I know pretty quickly if you're not my people.
Yeah.
If you're not the person, just be polite, professional, and say, thank you so much. Let's review this at another date or whatever. But you can walk away. But to prejudge somebody and not even give them a chance.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Well, our time is running out. I think, like I said, time was going to go by fast. I'm going to ask you one thing, and it has to do with authenticity and fitting in. You coach all the time. What's your recommendation of how women need to truly trust themselves to show up?
I would say that with authenticity, you have to own your own space. The world is asking you to fit in. But one of the biggest lessons I've learned in this is the more you try to fit in, the more you lose yourself. Yeah. So the most successful, the most respected, the most impactful leaders are those that will embrace their truest, most authentic selves. And the best part, when you do that, you inspire others to do the same.
And we're going to leave with that. And what I want to do, Judy, is give people a chance to know more about how to reach you, how to get your books, and anything else that you might want them to know before we complete our talk today.
I would say, follow me on LinkedIn. There's a lot of stuff on LinkedIn that you can get and you can download and so on. And I'm Judy Hoberman on LinkedIn. You can go to my website, Selling in a Skirt. There's a ton of stuff you can download and, it's just connect with me because I really am an easy person. I'm fun. I am very funny, even though you may not think so. I know I am.
Well, I absolutely have enjoyed talking to you, but I want to ask you to leave our audience with parting words about Career Mastered. It's your Career Mastered moment. Like, what is your advice for women who want to master their careers?
My advice, plain and simple, is you don't have to wait to be chosen. Choose yourself.
I love it. We're going to leave it with that. Snap, snap, choose yourself. I love it. So at the end of the day, I have just participated with Judy in her newsletter, I think is on LinkedIn. Tell us more about that because you just showcased women around what question was it that you asked them?
So the topic that's very big for people is self-worth. And I asked women and some men, I didn't really ask. I put it out there and I just said, tell me what your definition of self-worth is. And we put it together. We have about 50 people that participated, I love this. And we put it together in this beautiful newsletter that you can download. You can give it to any woman in your life that you work or love or whomever. And the advice is, the definitions are so beautiful that, you might just take something to heart. You might just see yourself in it. But if you subscribe to my newsletter on LinkedIn, it's very easy. It's right there. It's in my profile. It's free. You're not paying for it, but there's a lot of really good information in there. And who knows, you might be one of the next people we highlight.
Well, I'm looking forward to hopefully one day get there to your area of the Texas area. But what I got today, and I hope our audience did too, and this actual Inside Career Success is on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And so people will go there and even get the after thoughts if they weren't able to make it today. But what I got out of our conversation today is your acronym GRACE, right? Mm-hmm. And again, what does GRACE stand for?
Growth, resilience, alignment, community, and empowerment.
Empowerment. And so that framework should be used as you think about connections and connecting with other people. You also talked about be willing to learn and unlearn. You mentioned that your network is your lifeline, as well as give yourself a permission to grieve, right? And these are key gems that you dropped today, as well as community and how important community is, and that connections are the currency for success. And what I really liked today was failure is an event, not a person.
Yes.
And so I'll leave you with that. And as we close, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And wait to connect with you after this call as we talk about working on projects or things that may be common.
And thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Judy. Bye now. Wow, that was amazing. I tell you, I love the women that love others, that give back, that do the things that are necessary to help us grow. And this talk was phenomenal with Judy Hoberman of Judy Hoberman and Associates. Again, you can connect with her on LinkedIn. One of the things I wanted to mention to you before concluding our conversation today is that Career Masters Spring Magazine just released. And that magazine is available on careermaster.com. You can get that certainly as you go to careermaster.com for the spring, but you can subscribe to the magazine as well. On the cover is Talia Fox, as you can see here in my screen. Again, I also want you to make sure that you connect with Judy on LinkedIn or any of her social media platforms. Really, this is about making sure that we support one another, we lift one another, and we grow with one another. And I'm so excited to be a catalyst for that purpose. Just want to mention to you the Career Master Brunch with the Master series is beginning this May. I am so thrilled about it. It is really an opportunity for us to gather as women in cities. It's a leadership conversation, city to city leadership conversations. And those conversations will be first started in Charlotte, as well as New York, Detroit, and Dallas. And then if you as a woman leader would like to be an ambassador in your city, all you need to do is send us a note at info@careermaster.com and let us know that you're interested, and one of our representatives will connect with you to tell you essentially what the role is and how you yourself can get engaged with ensuring that we continue the leadership conversations to advance women's growth, the tools, the resources, and the connections that make it happen. So again, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here today, and look for us next week. And I'll be sharing with you who my guests will be next week. All of this month and next month will be our honorees, past and present, so that you'll get a chance to see them, meet them, and have a chance to connect with them. Talk with you soon.